There is so much that I want to show you in the garden today. Hi, I'm Laura. Thank you for joining me as I show you around our garden, show you what's growing, and I also want to show you what we harvested today. Let's begin with this trellis system over here. If you guys have seen one of my other videos that shows how to grow winter squash on a trellis, well, this is it. And you guys can see that it's going so well, especially right over here, the pumpkin. This pumpkin plant is growing so well. I am very pleased with the growth, and you guys can see how this trellis system is working out great. Can you see our first pumpkin developing? It is so exciting. We have more male flowers coming up. While this plant is growing so well, and I am so pleased, there is all this space over here that is not filled up yet. And these are also pumpkin plants, and I don't really know why they're not growing as much as the other ones. My guess is that this side of the garden doesn't get as much sun. Because of the fence that we have on this side, there is a little bit more shade here in the morning. So that is something that I'm going to have to think about as I rearrange things for next year. This one is growing pretty well, but can you see that it's growing horizontally instead of vertically? So I am going to try to figure out how to help it go up, or I might just let it go this way because there's nothing that's going to need to be trellising up this way right here because this plant did not grow. Overall, I am very pleased with the growth of these plants in my cattle panel trellis. In between my squash plants, I planted some lettuce plants, and you guys can see how they're doing so well. The only thing is that there is one of these side shoots of the squash plant that is growing, kind of trying to cover up the carrots. So I am most likely going to cut and prune this part out because it's just going to be on the ground, or I am going to tie it so it can climb up on the trellis. But I want to open up the space so that the lettuce can continue to grow very well. This is the spaghetti squash, and right here we have a blossom for spaghetti squash. Here is one of our cucumber plants, and I discovered something, you guys. A male flower for a cucumber, and it looks like it's going to open tomorrow. I am so excited. This has been a long wait for us to have cucumber and zucchini this year. We had a very late start because we had to replant after our first crops just did not do well. And I still have some of the radishes that I had interplanted that I definitely need to remove now. They either are ready to be picked or they're just not going to grow. Some of them are just not going to grow, and I need to remove them. This Roma tomato is kind of a hot mess. I am not even sure what to make of it. There are definitely some tomatoes in there, but they are very small. The plant looks a little bit sick. There are a lot of dried leaves, and it just kind of keeps going crazy, and it just growing all over the place. So I definitely need to prune some dead foliage and maybe do something to pick these up off the floor so that they don't continue to get disease. I have two other tomato plants, Roma tomato plants over here that are looking much better. I also see some fruit. Again, they're still very small, but they're looking healthier. I think I do need to do something to maintain them and to kind of keep them up off the floor, off the ground, and I need to figure out what to do about that. This onion bed is so exciting. Can you see these onions? These onions are huge. They are looking great. Some of them are still very small because those small ones I planted way later than the other ones. So I'm gonna get two harvests. First, I think just in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna be able to harvest these big ones. and I'm going to leave the small ones to keep growing until they're ready. So that's the onion bed, and on the back side of the bed I have the green beans growing. So this is the green bean arch. These are going to grow up and over the arch. So excited about these. This year we have planted the yard-long beans, and these are just a lot of fun. Once they start growing, they're so easy to pick because they hang down from the trellis and you can just see them really long, and it's just very fun. Yeah, so these are the blossoms. We're gonna get green beans soon, I'm guessing in the next week or so. This is our other bed that has green beans growing up an arch trellis. And it is a bed full of carrots and some arugula and more carrots. There's something quite bizarre going on in this bed. I think I know what the culprit is, but this is our same bed, the carrot bed. And we also have some tiny Tim tomatoes. The thing is that these tomato plants just continue to sink into the ground, and I am not quite sure what it is. I don't think it's just the soil settling. I think there's something else going on. We have seen some mole activity in this bed, so I am guessing that as the moles walk underneath, they're just creating big gaps and some of the soil is collapsing. So that's a big bummer. This is the one that's the worst. It's way down there. I'm just leaving it there so those tomatoes will have time to ripen, and then we'll just pull them out. I'm going to go through these and see if I can find some baby carrots. So basically, again, what I'm doing is thinning out some carrots. I am pulling some carrots so that other carrots have a chance to grow, like this one, for example. This is a nice little baby carrot. I just harvest those and then leave the ones that were growing around them, leave them to grow. So I have been doing this method for a little bit and I like this. I like being able to go through these plants and thin them out by picking out baby carrots. It is working well. This plant is an experiment. I tried this plant for the very first time. This is cucamelons, and they're supposed to be these little tiny cucumber-like plants. So I'm excited about that, but I'm not quite sure what to expect. It is looking okay. We'll just see what happens. Just to show you how tiny they are. Look at this. That is going to eventually develop into a cucamelon. So it's just a little bud. The flower hasn't opened yet, but it's just so tiny. Our tomato plants are looking really good. We have some slicer tomatoes over here, and we have a ton of cherry tomatoes. We are picking cherry tomatoes every day, and it's just so exciting. I have been coming out here checking on the tomato plants daily, trying to keep up with the pruning and the trellising, but there is always something that I miss no matter what. And there are suckers that I need to continue to prune. I need to continue to help the stems weave in and out of the trellis system. It just never ends. But to be honest with you, I actually find the pruning process so enjoyable and so relaxing. There are some tomatoes that are probably ready to be picked, but we won't because we like to pick what we eat that day. So we are probably just going to pick them tomorrow. My son's already picked tomatoes for lunch today. So I think we're just going to leave these tomatoes for our lunch tomorrow. My beautiful marigolds. I'm really enjoying this. And this has been the bed that I've shown you before that is just not very productive. And I've tried to do lots of different things to get things going. But I'm quite pleased with what's happening here. I have oregano that's growing nicely. I have some basil plants that I harvest very often. And I have some zucchini plants that are actually growing. This one here looks like it's going to flower soon, so I'm excited about that. And I have these tiny pepper plants that I am still not quite sure if they're going to produce well, but they are definitely getting flowers, and we're also getting some tiny peppers. This is the biggest pepper that we have. It's so tiny and so adorable. But the plant is so small. I really don't know if the plant is big enough to support a bigger pepper. I don't know. At this point, this is just an experiment. Here's another zucchini plant in this bed that is actually growing and looking nice. This is the way that the plant is supposed to be. This is not any kind of disease or anything. And there are some tiny blossoms in there that I'm very excited about. So I would say maybe in a week or so we're going to start having some zucchini. In the same bed that hasn't been very productive, I also planted some bush cucumber plants, and they're looking good. I need to prune off one of them so that the other one can grow. So this is it's definitely going to be for a late harvest, but I think it's going to work just fine. And over here in our chamomile bed, we also have lots of celery, and we just harvest celery every day. I have chamomile and celery to harvest. I am picking celery almost daily. We just have so much of it. And right now it has gotten big enough that we can also enjoy raw as celery sticks. We have some celeries that are really, really big, a really good size for that. In this bed, I also have the last of my radishes. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick whatever I have left here. Some of them just did not even grow well, so I'm just going to give them to the chickens. But I'll just grab whatever I can harvest. I'm going to completely empty out this bed and hopefully make use of this space by planting something else. These are the 2 rows of green beans that I planted, I want to say a couple of weeks ago. I showed you in a video how this bed was not very productive because I had planted other things that hadn't come up. So we had enough time to plant bush green beans, and they're doing well. Just a couple of days ago, we harvested 2 pounds of kale, and there's so much more to harvest already. Next, I have some herbs that I can harvest from here. I have basil. So I've planted basil in different areas of the garden. This is one of them. I have some oregano here that I'm not going to pick right now because I'm just picking what I'm going to use today. More basil over here. And more basil here. I have 2 beautiful beds of chamomile. And just a couple of days ago, I completely picked these 2 beds, and now they're full again. The only thing left for me to pick today are these chamomile flowers. I have been picking so much, and they just keep coming back every day. This job is probably the one that takes the longest, but I don't really mind it. I actually find it very soothing, very relaxing to pick chamomile. So just come around this way, Nico. Come this way where I am.
This one?
Yeah, you'll know they're ready because they're fully open like this. Right. Most of these are ready. So you just put them like this, Nico. Like with the tip of your fingers, and then you pull.
Oh.
And they'll just come out nicely.
Really?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Can you smell it?
Nope.
You can't?
Smell us.
I smell it. That's good.
Smells like chamomile, yeah.
Smells like honey.
A little bit like honey, yeah. A little bit sweet. Okay, and once we are finished with this bed, we can go to the next bed.
There's another bed?
Yep, right behind you. I think we did a pretty good job at picking these clean. And here's our harvest for the day. We harvested some kale and collard greens, some celery and radishes in the bag. We also harvested some baby carrots and basil and some chamomile. Thank you for joining me today for another garden update and a harvest. If you want more videos like this, please make sure to subscribe.